Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to our channel. Hopefully you saw customizing your Harley with powder coat part 1. Now we're into part 2. And what do we got going on here? Okay, we removed our top transmission cover, the side transmission cover, our floorboards, our brake pedal, our rear passenger pegs and pegs mounts, and our highway pegs. What's left? Let's see, we got the engine guard, the rocker boxes, the push rod tubes, the cam cover. We've already removed the derby cover and the outer primary. We've already removed the full exhaust. We've got the heat shields right here, and those are going to go out for ceramic coating. And we got the rear tail light assembly off and ready for powder coat. Part count so far is we are at 50. That's right, we have 50 parts right now going out for powder coat, and there's more to come, and we're going to be there's a lot of parts that have to come off to do away with all the black, to include the dash on the top of the tank. That's going to get done. We're going to pull the levers off. We're going to get those things powder coated too. So all the powder coating is going to be done all at once. This way all the gloss blacks match and the accent color is going to match. So as I promised you, today I'm going to show you the secret of removing the lower bolts for your engine guard, because they will get seized. Stay tuned, we got more stuff coming. Alright, so first things I like to do when I'm doing the engine guard or crash guard, whatever language you want to speak, I use engine guard because I don't like using the word crash with any part of a motorcycle. Just don't like doing it. It's taboo. This is a T40. Now, I said there's a secret to doing it. If these are loose like this and they're not seized, well, you know what? You just go ahead and remove it. And on the other side, you could, same thing. Now, if they are seized, get yourself a heat gun, not a torch, a heat gun, and heat up right in here with the heat gun. That'll cause this metal to expand, be able to get that bolt right out without stripping out the head. Let me get this off and we'll continue on. All right, I lowered the lift down just so I could work. Just so you know, I'm starting on the dash here, and there's a 7/16 bolt here, and then I'm going to move this out of the way. There's a, believe that is, hold on, 5/32 Allen. I could be wrong. Nope. Wait. I think I am wrong. No, but I got to get a ball socket for that one. So let me grab that. And I already started my baggie with it marked fuel tank, because there's going to be a lot of little screws and brackets. The button, and there's that little screw. Make sure you don't lose that, because with that, it'll be a pain in the neck to go somewhere to find a small screw. And to remove this dash is quite simple. Once you get this screw out and that Allen screw out, take off your fuel cap, and then you lift up on your dash. It might be stuck because of the plastic, or the rubber I should say. So you lift that up, and inside of here there's a couple of clamps, wire clamps. There's your vent hose. You want to remove that, and then there's this wire connection down here on a crimp, or it's like a wire keeper. So you just want to unfold that, pull that to the side. Now, what we have to do is, for the button, which is right here, you got the screw. You want to unthread that, and then there's 2 1/4-inch screws there. You want to hold on to those screws and this little spring bracket that helps it spring up when you open it. So let me get that done and we'll work together. Okay, we're continuing on here with the fuel tank removal. there's this chrome collar right here. What you want to do is you want to push up on it, and the fuel line will disconnect. You'll get some fuel dripping, no big deal, because it's under pressure. And we have 4 bolts left that hold this fuel tank on. You have the 2 on the back. Let me show you here. You got the 2 on the back. We got 1 on our left side and 1 on the right side. And those are a 1/2-inch socket. So once you get those off, you could literally pick the fuel tank off, take it off, and it's removed. All right, guys. Now we're going to start with our front engine mount, which is right here. And this is a T40 on both sides. So we're going to take our ratchet, we're going to break them free, and then we're going to hit them with the gun to remove them. Just to, you know, save on time. Are they T40? No, they are not. They're larger. So they're a T47. And I don't want to strip them out. I'm sorry, T45, not a 47. T45. There we go. That's a better fit. Okay, that is going to need a little bit of heat. So I'm going to grab my heat gun. We're going to plug it in. And we're going to heat up this part of the frame. And once that's heated up, we will actually go through and remove it. Because we also got 2 bolts in the front of this that we have to remove for the bracket. Because the bracket's going to go out for powder coat too, because that's chrome. Again, I'm getting rid of all the chrome that I could find, because that's what this person wants. No more chrome. To include that front wheel. We're going to chrome plate that front wheel. So our heat gun's going to cool down. You don't need a lot of heat, but you are going to need some heat. There we go. And you see that broke free with a little bit of help from the heat gun. All right, let me get this off and we'll get back to it. All right, guys. Now we're going to start with our front engine mount, which is right here. And this is a T40 on both sides. So we're going to take our ratchet, we're going to break them free, and then we're going to hit them with the gun to remove them. Just to, you know, save on time. Are they T40? No, they are not. They're larger. So they're a T47. And I don't want to strip them out. I'm sorry, T45, not a 47. T45. There we go. That's a better fit. Okay, that is going to need a little bit of heat. So I'm going to grab my heat gun. We're going to plug it in. And we're going to heat up this part of the frame. And once that's heated up, we will actually go through and remove it. Because we also got 2 bolts in the front of this that we have to remove for the bracket. Because the bracket's going to go out for powder coat too, because that's chrome. Again, I'm getting rid of all the chrome that I could find, because that's what this person wants. No more chrome. To include that front wheel. We're going to chrome plate that front wheel. So our heat gun's going to cool down. You don't need a lot of heat, but you are going to need some heat. There we go. And you see that broke free with a little bit of help from the heat gun. All right, let me get this off and we'll get back to it. Okay, now we're going to work on the front engine mount. They're a 9/16 socket. So I got a box wrench on it just to break it free. and they come right out. Now you can always put the bolts back in where you find them, or you can put them in a baggie like I do. So if you're not sure where the bolts go, or you don't have the baggies, you know, following this, all my ideas here and how to do it, then you can always put the bolts back in where you found them. Sometimes that's harder to do, and sometimes it's not. So after we get this off, we're going to work on the rocker boxes. Here we go. That's off. This part's going to powder coat as well. So now we're going to work on the rocker boxes, and those are 7/16. All right, so I'm going to break them free with a box and a wrench, and there's 6 per, so there's going to be 12. Now you got to be careful when you put these aside, because the throttle side bolts are longer than the clutch side, and if you look at it, it'll make sense. And there is a torque to these, and on reassembly I'll go over all the torque specs with everybody, so you'll know exactly what they are. All right, let me get my gun. We'll zip these 6 right out, then we'll go to the other side. Does anybody have any questions? If you have any questions, feel free to ask me down below. There is a procedure when we remove the rocker arms. Oh, wrong size. I grabbed the wrong socket. I had the right one. I put it down, and I grabbed the wrong one. Where'd I put it? See, I'm not organized. I'm a little bit of a mess here. So, guys, bear with me. There it is, 7/16. Right where I left it. So we zip these out. Because these are going to be going in for gloss black. The bottom is going to get the accent color. All right, let's go on to the other side. Okay, for the rear rocker box, it's a lot easier if you get yourself a ratcheting box end wrench. But you don't want to make, you want to make sure, I put my finger on the top that tells you how far I can go with the ratcheting wrench, so I can remove it where it doesn't get stuck there. But I do have a bag you already started, it says rocker box. So, and these rocker boxes come out the throttle side. So don't try and pull them off through the clutch side. It can be quite challenging. So take your time. Always, as always, do a nice job. And there's a torque to these as well. And I will definitely let you guys know what the torque is when we put it back together. The reason why I don't know it now is I haven't looked it up, because I don't need to know what it is. Oh, I got my arm in the camera. Sorry, guys. So I most definitely will let you guys know what they are when we put it back together. All right. I have another bike I'll be doing a lot of this too, and it's a Milwaukee 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, do everything I can, and what's different on the Milwaukee 8 to the twin cam, that's what I'm going to film. Because a lot of this procedure stuff is the same. Torques are not, but the procedure of doing it is the same. For instance, when you remove the rocker arms, right? So let's start with the forward head. Remove the forward rocker arm. We want to jack the back of the bike up, put it in 6th gear, have the spark plugs removed, and then this way, when you could rotate the motor around to get that the forward cylinder in top dead center. That is where the lobes of the cam will be at the bottom. And then you can remove your rocker arms. And then after that, you can do the same thing for the back cylinder. Now, there is a trick that you could do. You don't have to do it, and I'm not going to show you that trick because I believe in doing things right, not things the wrong way. All right, back on the throttle side, you might have to tap these to get them off. And don't worry about the gaskets, because guys, we never use gaskets or O-rings or anything like that. So if they bend, break, split, who cares, because we're replacing them. All right, let's take a look at what's going on the top here. All right, so what we have here is we've got these 2 bolts. That's for your crankcase breather. And then you got these 4 bolts. Those are for your rocker arms. And what we want to do is get this cylinder to top dead center before we remove that. And then we have the same thing for the back jug. The back jug is a little more tricky because there's not a whole lot of room back there to get the rocker arms out with the bolts. And yes, the bolts do stay in this far on the back. Trust me on this, guys. You want to take your time with this. All right, we're starting to drip some oil. That's going to happen. Don't freak out. So, trying to get you guys set back up. I'm going to grab a rag and try and absorb a lot of this oil in the forward rocker box. All right, guys, any questions so far what we're doing? All right, because once we get the rocker arms off and on the front and back, we're going to take the lower rocker boxes off. And again, these are going to go in a different pile because they're not going gloss black. They're actually going to an accent color, which I think will look really, really sharp. And the same thing with the caliper screens. They're going to be an accent color. And guys, when it's all said and done, and you have everything off, everything that's open that shouldn't be, put some rags over it, some paper towels to keep the dust and dirt or anything from falling in there. All right, so I jacked up the wheel. I did the forward rocker box. Now I'm working on the back rocker box. And I got this one here to top dead center, so the cam is on the bottom. And I got them all loose and everything on the other side. So I just got this side to do. I took the breather off. It's a 3/8 nut on there. So I suggest a 1/4 inch drive ratchet with the 3/8 socket on it to break them loose. For the inboard side, you're going to need to get like a ratcheting wrench, or just use a box wrench, whichever makes your life easier. All right, so for this back one to take out, I removed the outboard bolts. The inboard ones you can't really remove, but since we're here, I'm going to try and pull my push rods through. Maybe not. There we go. You see how that just slipped right out of there? Believe it or not, everybody, that's the first time it slipped right out without giving me a hard time. So I'm going to put this down on a paper towel. And then I'm going to cover it with the paper towel. And why do I do that? Well, it'll keep a lot of dirt and debris off of it. And I'm keeping all the hardware with it. And of course, the push rods. And these push rods go in a certain way. And I'll cover that at the reinstallation of it. So, what do we got left, guys? Not a lot, but what do we have here? We have our push rod tubes, we have our tappet blocks, we have our cam cover, we got our front turn signals, we got our front wheel, and we got our brake levers to take off. After that, guys, this bike is fully disassembled for everything that's needed for powder coat. So let's grab our 3/16 Allen socket, and we're going to actually work on the cam cover. Yep, that's correct. The cam cover. So I'm going to break them all free with my ratchet, And then I'm going to hit it with the gun just to save time. And always make sure you have a pan underneath to collect the oil, because some oil will come out of here. Not a lot. Now, if you have a Softail with the oil tank that's under the seat, you're going to lose all your oil. That simple. But if you have a bagger, or you have the oil tank that's in the transmission, you'll be all right. So I'm going to grab a baggie, since it's cam cover on it already, for all the screws. I'm starting on the bottom on both sides, so if oil drips out, it's not going to drip out on me. It's going to drip out on the bike, and we'll clean that up before we assemble it. I got a handful of bolts, put them right in the baggie. All right, now we're going to get a mallet, because we're going to have to tap this off. That's always tough to get off, even with the bolts on it. So I always get a rubber mallet, and I hit right there. And you see how it just popped right off? And I made a mess. I didn't have this out far enough. It's all right, I'll just clean it up and move it over. All right, so here's our cam cover. Now I'm going to remove our gasket, because we don't need it. And don't worry about cleaning up the mating surfaces yet of the gasket, because like I said, it's going to powder coat, and there's going to be some overspray you're going to have to clean up. Not a lot most of the time, but there will be some. All right, so if you're curious what we're looking at over here, there we go, guys. Here's our cam chain tensioner. That's the outboard side. It's a hydraulic one, which is nice. Here's our sprocket for our camshaft. Sprocket off the pinion shaft, which is part of the crankshaft. This is a factory cam plate. It's cast. When we do the Milwaukee 8, I'll show you the billet aluminum one that's going in from S&S. All right, now the push rod tubes. So what you want to do is get a screwdriver. There you guys. You want to get a screwdriver in here. Right behind that little tab, just get in there, twist it right out, and they'll pop right out. Yes, even these little parts are going to go in to powder coat. So once you get those out, you pick up on the bottom, and they'll come right out. So once that's out, we're going to separate the tubes, and because the bottoms and these collars are going off for powder coat. Now the collars are going to go in for an accent color. I hope you guys can see a theme to this. And don't worry, all of these O-rings for the push rod tubes will be replaced. All right, guys, give me a few minutes. We'll get back to it. Okay, I started another baggie. It says push rods on it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to separate this, because this top part we're going to keep in the baggie. That doesn't get powder coated. The spring and the spacer does not get powder coated, but these collars and the lower half of the push rod tube will get powder coated. So you want to make sure that you have all the parts you need for powder coating and what's not going for powder coating. I hope you guys are getting some good value out of this. Let me know in the comments down below if you are or you're not. And we'll make it happen. All right, so there's the bag that say push rods, but I'm going to save this because I'm going to put the screws for the tappet blocks in there, and those are a 3/16 as well. So let me get this organized. We'll get right back to you. All right, now we're going to work on our tappet blocks. So we're going to loosen these up. Now the torque on these isn't a lot, so should be able to get away with an Allen wrench, just a regular Allen wrench if you want. Now what I did is grab my gun. I had an extension, a wobble head extension. Where did I put it? I'm so disorganized right now, guys. I can't believe it. Oh, let me just get the wobble head socket. Be right back. All right, guys, I got the long Allen socket with the wobble head or ball head. It's up to you what you call it. I got to loosen that one some more by hand. There's 2. That's 3. I put these in the baggie before they get lost. And we'll do this side. Oops. Whoa. I'm anticipating it coming off. All right, so let me put it on the ratchet. Now in your lower rocker boxes, getting back to that, guys, there are O-rings in there. So you want to replace those too. So make sure you get replacement O-rings. All right, there's that one. Now if I could just get my wobble head off. And these are always a pain too. You might have to hit them with a hammer. Break them free like that. All right, so again, there's a gasket on here. You just want to peel that off. There's 2 O-rings on the bottom. We're not reusing those, so we could just throw them right out. All right, so that's going to powder coat. And why is this not coming off? There we go. It's off. All right, so let's work on these last 2. And once I get those off, we'll work on the rocker boxes. Okay, so now we're going to do the rocker boxes. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts per rocker box. And those are, I believe, are 7/16. And are they 1/2 inch? They are 7/16, guys. So I'm going to remove these here and get them off, get them ready for powder coat. And then the last thing we got is, let's take a look here. We got our fork sliders and our lower forks. I already have a set that's disassembled, that's ready to go. So I'm not going to take the forks apart until I get them back from powder coat. We're going to disassemble the front wheel, pull the wheel bearings. We're going to remove the rotors and the tire, and that's going out for powder coat. And then the front turn signals are going for powder coat, and this. All right. So, hey guys, I hope you like part 2. All right, it's a lot of work happening in a short period of time because, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's quick to disassemble. It's a lot longer, and it takes more time to reassemble. Now, just so you guys know, there will be a part 3, and that's when we're headed to the powder coat to pick this stuff up, to look at it all and see how it came out. And that's going to be a little while. That could be anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. We're going to go see Johnny at GRD Restorations. And if you haven't seen that video about what Johnny does, I'm going to link that up over here. So you guys could check out his kind of work. All right, guys, until the next one, live the best life you can. Ride often and ride hard.
subscribe to Dr. Harley.